Apollo Crews made a big return to NXT, standing in the face of Bron Brekker. Is this full-time? Is this part-time? What does this mean for Apollo? We're going to talk about it all in just a second, so stay tuned. This is WrstlXtra.
Yo, or should I say Apollo? This is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy A Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate, of course, as always, alongside my tag team partner Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. Apollo returns to NXT after his big win, or not a big win, but a decent win for Bron Brekker at In Your House. He put out a little challenge, I guess, and was like, who else is there? Who's going to answer the call? And then we heard over the speakers, Apollo. Crowd went crazy. Apollo Crews turns up. Apollo Crews turns up, and he Faker and congratulates him on being such a great champion and his astronomical rise to in NXT in such a short time, but then says, I'll see you down the road. I'm challenging you now. I'll see you down the road. Later on on the show, last week's NXT, Apollo then turned up with Solo Sikoa to take on Grayson Waller and the A-Champ Carmelo Hayes. Apollo got the win, got the pin for his team. Looked great. But the other thing we noticed. The other thing we noticed is that Apollo Crews is now American all over again. No more Nigerian accent. No Commander Aziz, no spear, no green and white, representing, of course, his native Nigeria. Just straight up Apollo Crews, very similar, I guess, to the very early Apollo Crews that we had in NXT. Some would argue maybe going all the way back to Uhaa Nation days. Mex, what do you make of it? Just the way he came back? Not so much. We'll talk about what we might think will happen with him and where it's all going to go. But what did you make of the initial return? Are you excited? Were you excited for it? How did you feel when you saw him come through those curtains, so to speak?
I was very excited. And to be honest, I was waiting to hear if his first word was going to be with his accent. Obviously, he wasn't dressed in his regular kind of native or the green of Nigeria. So yeah, I was very excited. I have been very excited with these main roster talents come down to NXT because it just provides something a bit different. More so Apollo Crews, where I think we've all said, including him last week, he said his NXT stint just happened far too quickly and he got moved to main roster, probably at some manager's request. They see, a good looking guy and move him up and then have nothing for him. Right. So I was very happy that he came out, answered the call. The crowd was buzzing. Even within himself, he looks like he's trimmed down. He is still the muscular specimen that he is, but he looks like he's kind of got a bit slimmer as well. Like you said, the performance he put in was crazy. But yeah, if we're talking about just before he even said anything, my response was like, cool, all right, let's see this. Okay. And once he did speak to Bron Brekker, obviously you just mentioned that he didn't actually challenge for the title. I like that because that at least one gives me hope that he's actually sticking around. He is now NXT. Rather than just, like these floating visits we have seen from the main roster of guys and girls. And that he is going to, work several programs maybe until he probably gets to Bron Brekker. I say several, maybe about two. Before he gets to the champion. Two wins and he's like, I want a title shot. Right. So, you know how WWE do. But, I think it's the right move, man. This is someone that to be honest, the Nigerian stuff was pretty good in terms
Yeah.
of a little resurgence for his career. But
Mhm.
the minute he loses this title and you don't then put him into something else meaningful, yeah, it just becomes a gimmick, a character, a comedy character at times.
Comedy, yeah.
So this is a really good resuscitation again of his character, if you like. And just before I stop talking, there was something that people were also mentioning. Commander Aziz, he's going to get future endeavored and stuff like that. I don't think so. I think they really like Commander Aziz, and again, maybe not kind of shooting him to the stars as quickly as they shot on Moss. But they may let him go back to NXT, or they may give him something else to do. Like, we have to remember, Commander Aziz has been involved in, was it that Saudi Arabia Royal Rumble when he was Babatunde?
Yeah.
Raw Underground.
Raw Underground, main character.
That Netflix film that WWE done.
Decent film.
Yeah,
my son loves it.
Yeah, I watched it and I was pretty impressed, to be honest. So there's something about WWE and him, that's working. Obviously, he's a big man. They like that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I don't think this is the end for him, but yeah, this could be a good little, like I say, restart for both men.
Speaking of Commander Aziz, actually, because I never really thought about it. I mean, I just thought, okay, what's going to happen to him? But then my head didn't go anywhere further than that. But as you mentioned, he's a big guy. He's done quite a few things already. He's been pushed a couple of times, I guess, in a not in a major way, but enough to make you think, all right, they've got some kind of interest in him. But I just don't know whether it's been enough to make me think it's going to be long-term or sustained investment in him. We've already got, this is WWE, where diversity isn't the greatest thing in the world. Yes, we've got black stars, and maybe last year was probably a little bit better than this year has been so far, but we've already got a giant Nigerian. Do they then know what to do with another giant Nigerian? That's what it is for me more than anything else. You know what I mean? Yes, he's got the Polish side of him, but hey, don't nobody know about that. He's just a giant, I guess, light-skinned Nigerian. You know what I mean? So I don't know whether there's going to be anything for him to do. There could be. There's nothing to say there can't be, but I'm just don't, I guess, have enough confidence in the writers to find something for him to do. I don't know what that's going to mean, whether he's going to be let go, whether he's just going to be, in catering for a very long time, whether he's going to turn up in NXT for anything, whether it be next to Apollo or doing something completely different. I'm a little worried for him, if I'm very honest. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Going back to Apollo, I think we asked this question, I think if not last week, a couple of weeks ago, whether it be on the show or whether we were talking afterwards, asking the question, where was Apollo Crews? Because he's been off our TVs for a couple of months now. As you said, even when he didn't have a championship and he's doing his Nigerian thing, it worked for a while, but then as soon as he lost it, he was just losing to Shinsuke and the guitar Boogs and whoever else. And it kind of did become a bit of a comedy character and a fall guy for everyone else. So to see him now is great. Going back to American Apollo Crews is great. I love the fact that it's no gimmicks, no messing about. It's just him and his talent, which is very weird to see in NXT 2.0 because no one's playing on that show. So it's great to see. As you said, he did great with his native Nigerian gimmick. It kind of took a while for us to get used to it. But at the same time, it did help. It actually did help him in that short space of time, especially in the early months of him doing that gimmick as well. It really worked. Adding Aziz was great as well. So to see him do what he's doing, to know as well, again, as you said, that he's not necessarily coming straight for Bron Brekker. He knows he has to kind of, work his way up again. He can't come in as a former NXT guy and just say, right, I'm on top of the mountain. I was here before everyone else. It's not that type of thing. It was a little weird that he came out in response to almost an open challenge from Breakker to then say, I'll see you down the road. But the fact that he knows he has to work towards it is great. What was then brilliant was that he still faced the top stars, or the other top stars in the company, being Solo Sikoa, or alongside Solo Sikoa, Grayson Waller, and then of course Carmelo Hayes, and he held his own, showed them how to do it as well. He's the more experienced out of the lot of them, and it worked. I love how some people on the internet straight away started doing this whole long-term booking thing.
Because of the Roman Reigns.
Because of the Roman Reigns thing. Solo Sikoa, of course, being his little cousin. I'm not sure it was quite that, but I see where you're going, folks. I see where you're going.
One thing I will say.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I'll say, one thing I will say is that I thought it was quite, and again, this might be me being too optimistic with WWE, but I thought it was very telling that it was Solo Sikoa's feud against Carmelo Hayes.
Right.
And then, man, he was brought in as the partner just to help, just to make it an even tag match, and he got the win.
Right.
He done the pinning.
Right.
And obviously, like you said, that it's him that's almost looks like he needs to build himself till he gets to Bron Brekker. He's the face, so he knows I'm not going to just come out and claim my my stake. I need to earn it and all that stuff. Right. So him getting the win in what, like you say again, was a really strong performance. Like even as a heel, as his Nigerian heel gimmick, he would have obviously toned down his abilities. But I feel like even as a babyface on the main roster, we haven't seen him move like he was moving in NXT last week.
Very true. Very true.
Again, like I said, there was actual physical differences. He looks a lot trimmer and stuff as well. But he looked like it's do or die at this point. Like maybe this is the last chance saloon. Maybe he requested to go back and see if he can really make something of himself. And if there's a bit of hunger there from Apollo, or they are just giving him the freedom to kind of, build up himself and put on good matches with some of these other younger talents around him before he gets to the champion, then I'm all for it.
You kind of touched on what could happen in the future for him and how it's going to work out. How long do you think he'll be there, and what's the highest achievement you expect him to achieve? Well, the highest thing you expect him to achieve really in this run?
He has to win the NXT championship. If he's going to stick around, and I think it does look like he's kind of sticking around for a while, I would hate to see Bron Brekker down the line. I don't know what their next pay-per-view is going to be, but for Bron Brekker to just kind of beat him and then he returns to the main roster. And we say return to the main roster. It's not like he was doing anything there anyway.
Right.
So, I mean... Bron Brekker, yes, they are heavily invested in him. They're building him and stuff like that. But I feel like the likes of Apollo Crews, he didn't reach any kind of plateau that you can send him down and use him in that capacity, if that makes sense. Dolph Ziggler's come down. Dolph Ziggler's been a world champion, multiple time Intercontinental champion. So he can come down, and he won the belt and has traded it and this, that, and the other. Natalia as well, multiple time women's champion and that. So these are people that kind of could come down and afford to put people over and lose. For Apollo,
right?
I don't think he should be used in that way. He is still to get some skin in the game in WWE, at least, if you see what I mean. So I don't want to see him be used like that. And if they think that they don't want him to necessarily beat Bron Brekker yet anyway, then just keep them far away from each other and let Apollo just put on decent matches, maybe one day North American Championship. But personally, I feel like his sights just need to be on the NXT title.
I mean, it wouldn't be too bad. I mean, with Carmelo Hayes being heel, him coming in as a face, him versus Carmelo down the line. Obviously, Solo Sikoa is going to be next up, but him maybe beating Carmelo Hayes would be a good sign for him to move on to bigger things. I just thought it'd be interesting actually if he beat Carmelo. Carmelo then beats Bron Brekker because we need to kind of see the good guy, bad guy thing with that as well. And then possibly Apollo then comes for Carmelo, who has the NXT title. Maybe we see something like that. That could possibly work. But at the same time, there was no real need in terms of NXT 2.0 for Apollo to be there. But at the same time, I think he definitely needs something to do himself. So I think it can work out. It will work out in general. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him, what he's going to do, how long he's going to be there, and whatever the story is going to be. But I'm happy that I think I'm just happy that he's doing something.
Yeah. As
opposed to sitting in the back and eating hot dogs with Commander Aziz in the back, or chasing 24/7 championship. You know what I mean?
I think I'll just add that I think there is a need to bring in the likes, the ilk of someone like Apollo,
right?
Because in NXT right now, there is a gulf. We can see who they're invested in. The Solo Sikoas, Carmelo, Grayson Waller's, Tony D'Angelo's, these guys. But there's like a bracket. Like when we talk about football, we talk about the best in the world. There's a Ronaldo and Messi, and then whoever's third best is third best, but he ain't up there with them, man.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
There's a gulf. So Bron Breakker's at the top. Carmelo Hayes, you can probably say he's at the top bracket. Solo Sikoa has really pushed himself into like that top bracket, and the fans are carrying him.
After that,
this is where it is. So then after that, you got the space, and then there's the likes like Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, Santos Escobar should really be top tier, but I don't know really what they're doing with him right now.
Idea, bro. No idea.
So maybe Apollo is this person that's going to come in, name value, so he's above all of these 2.0 guys, although he hasn't quite cracked the top, just in terms of his past. But yeah, I think they do need credible guys, but then I don't want him to be a credible guy. They just bring in for Bron Brekker to slay, and then he goes back to the main roster.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the difference here. As you said, he hasn't got that ilk, as you said, to be a Flash type character in NXT and then disappear back to the main roster. We had AJ Styles, we've had Dolph Ziggler, Natalia. We've had a few people that have done that, and it worked for the short term, but it wouldn't work. He's not going to come back and then be pushed towards the United States Championship, not even the United States Championship straight away. If he was to go back, you know what I mean? It wouldn't happen like that. Whereas AJ Styles, it's almost like it didn't even happen.
Exactly.
Because he was just still doing the same thing. Dolph Ziggler kind of made an appearance last week, and they're on this whole, we're back, and I think they're trying to be faces now. And Natalia again, kind of almost like her time in NXT didn't even happen, didn't make a difference to what she was doing on the main roster. Apollo, it's not gonna.
For them, man, it's literally like extracurricular activity.
Yeah,
like
it's like training.
I work on Monday nights. Yeah. Oh, something to do on Tuesday? All right, let me turn up.
Vince, can I have extra hours, please? You know what I mean?
Literally. Can I have overtime?
Yeah, exactly.
But for Apollo, from what it sounds like, you're on the same wavelength as myself. This is everything right now. This is everything. So this ain't overtime. This is your 9 to 5. Go and make your bread. Go and make yourself really make something of yourself. Situation.
That's where it is for sure. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what whether he appears on the show, on the next show on NXT 2.0. I don't know why I couldn't get my words out there
tonight.
But yeah, we'll see. I'm very interested now as well in this Grayson Waller, Carmelo Hayes kind of friendship. I don't think it was a 1 week thing. I've got a feeling they're gonna make something out of it. I don't know why they don't need it. Carmelo Hayes definitely doesn't need it. There's Trick Williams there already, but I've got a feeling that they're trying to make something happen, because when Grayson Waller came out, Carmelo Hayes got excited. That doesn't usually happen. He kind of got it's almost like there's my friend. That doesn't usually happen. It's just they just wait and listen to what they're saying, and then they decide when they get next to each other, okay, we're gonna beat you up together.
I think it was only just an excitement that he's coming out to cuss Solo Sikoa. Like Grayson Waller, you know, if he had this opportunity at the North American title, that's what he'll be after. So,
of course,
I think it's a short-term thing. I don't think we'll even see them together like on this week's show.
We'll see. The other thing we want to talk about is on WWE as well. It's almost like there's a new guy in the Street Profits because about a month ago I saw this slim guy called Montez Ford, and since like last week I've seen this big, he's already like pumped up guy, Montez Ford. Obviously, he's been having matches with the Usos. The Street Profits are going to be going for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. But after his match on Raw last night, people again started asking the question, or you know, the talk started happening on social media, saying things like Montez Ford is ready, or asking the question, is Montez Ford ready? Where are you at with this? We've been asking this question for like 2 years. We've been discussing this whole thing for about 2 years. Where are we at now with Montez Ford as a future champion? Montez Ford doing a solo run. Where are we?
To be honest, I'm probably not as hot on it right now as in today than I would have been maybe some months ago or so. I think always with Montez Ford leaving the Street Profits, or you know, them being split, it's just what is the plan if you split them?
Right.
Don't just split, man, and then you know all of a sudden he's turning up with no entrance like Ciampa on Raw. You see what I mean? Like, have a plan. How you're gonna use him? How you're gonna get his character over? You know, what's the first checkpoint in his trajectory? Is it the Intercontinental title? How long do you want to take before you get there? 6 months? And I know WWE don't do anything of what I'm saying, but this is like, I'm worried. Like, I would rather him and Dawkins stay together in a tag team, and just be featured as one of the few tag teams WWE have, rather than you split them. And to be honest, we lose either of them from TV, because I'm a Dawkins fan as well. We know we can see the money with Montez, but I do enjoy Dawkins matches and stuff. So it's very, you can't just split them. But in regards to what you've said in terms of his physique changing and stuff like that, he might be looking at it as in, okay, they literally were going to split us up last year. Instead, they chose to split up them Retribution boys, T-Bar and Mace. If this is the year they're going to split us up, maybe I need to be ready. I need to be physically ready, so that if that split does happen and they're looking at, all right, who can we throw into this segment? Who can we do a little push with? I look the part. They already know I've got everything else, but I won't be taken for some just scrawny guy that does does nothing on the show from week to week, just entertainment segments. Like, I could be someone that they see can challenge for even if it's a mid-card title, or eventually to the world title. So he might have that in the back of his head. He might just be looking after himself. Obviously his missus is into CrossFit and that, but he might have one eye on October draft coming up and thinking, let me get ready in case they do it this time.
I'd like to think it's the latter, because he's not a silly guy. He's a very clever man. He knows what he's doing, and I think this whole little bit of bulk is probably in preparation for what could happen in the future, in the very, very near future. We've already, we've seen probably about a month ago, or a couple of weeks ago, that there's big talk of the brand split ending very soon. Obviously, over the last year or so, WWE have got rid of a whole load of talent, so there's less people on the roster. The brand split, kind of doesn't make any sense anymore. We're already seeing the signs of it ending with, talent being on both shows, Riddle on both shows, the Usos now on both shows, of course, and even some of the females as well. So I've got a feeling he's got that in the back of his mind that if they break up the Street Profits, I need to make sure, I'm still the guy. Because as much as I guess it would be a bit of a unanimous decision that, if you were to choose which one of the two is going to go on the solo run, most people are saying Montez Ford. But at the same time, you can't then be complacent with that and think, right, I've got it all. I'm good to go. Let's do it. He has to think to himself, right, how am I going to sustain being up there? How am I going to make sure they want me there? So I think he's got that in the back of his mind. But at the same time, looking at Angelo Dawkins as what he's done over the last 6 months, he's got the same thing in the back of his mind. He's like, I'm not going to be the one to be forgotten. You know what I mean? I can't be that guy. And he's done a lot of things. He's lost a lot of weight. His in-ring ability has gone even better. He's adding things to his arsenal quite often and all that type of thing. So I think both of them know, not that the writing's on the wall, but they're prepared for the possibilities. But for me, in the very immediate, I think more so because of the tag team booking, we've kind of seen a dip, or we're not as invested in Montez solo run right now as much as we probably were this time last year. So I think it is best that they kind of keep them together, get the tag team thing going, even put the undisputed tag team championships on them, give them another championship run. They haven't had one in a while now. And then make a decision maybe during that or from there and see where it goes. I think Montez knows what he's doing. Angelo Dawkins knows what he's doing. But yeah, I don't think we're as invested. We want to see. That's not changed. But I don't think we're as invested at this moment in time to see it happen right now or in the next couple of months even for Montez Ford to go on a solo run. If it were to happen, what do you think would be the best way for it to happen? Would it be a straight up, they split them and send them to different places or something like that, or pretend like they never were a tag team because they've done that before? Or is it storyline? They have they have an argument and then boom, it implodes.
Like the implosion angle, I think the problem is WWE do not tell those kind of intricate stories.
Right.
It could be very good. We could have something like Angelo Dawkins effectively being the one that turns, thinking that everyone loves Montez, this, that, and the other. That kind of usual stuff. Like you think you're gonna go off and be the star, I'll be the star, and all that kind of stuff. Which will leave Montez being like a beloved baby face and stuff like that. Montez could turn and being like, you're dragging me down. I'm the money in this group, blah blah blah. But effectively, that could actually kill Dawkins at the same time.
Completely kill Dawkins. I think that would.
Yeah. So, personally, out of Street Profits, I want to see, before it's too late, Bianca and Montez Ford on TV together. Like, I get a lot of stick sometimes, but I'm here for wrestling power couples. I always have been. I always will be.
Yep.
Like that's what I want to see. Even if it, for me, like something, it starts off where, maybe somewhere down the line, Bianca Belair loses her championship and Montez comes in almost like a manager to give her back her confidence, give her that edge, remember who you were and all that stuff. And again, this plays back into what I've been saying, that Bianca Belair's character hasn't changed in how many years? Like nothing, not one little bit of, her baby face-ness has changed. Like, and Montez could, if they put them in some type of coupling, a manager situation, like let Montez be the person that kind of pulls more evil out of her, or even if they're both active competitors and they're just literally better than everybody else, like because I'm guessing at the point where Bianca is to lose and stuff like that, she's won the Raw Women's Championship, she's won the SmackDown Women's Championship, she may not necessarily need to win a championship again. Her and Montez can just go on a run, putting having good matches with people in the mid card, people that they want to eventually get over, just to prove like physically as athletes we're better than everybody here, sort of thing. And let them kind of grow their name as a couple more, and then maybe dual championships can come to both of them. That's what I want to see in a split. Montez on his own could possibly get lost in a bit of a shuffle right now, especially with the likes of Theory being quite dominant in that mid card. Riddle seemed like he's being pushed. They will always call back their part-timers and legends when they need them. So maybe being completely solo dolo isn't the best thing for Montez in the immediate future, but something with him and Bianca, especially to change Bianca's character, could be money.
I think for me that would be the only way it would make sense. That helps both parties involved. As you said, Montez would get lost in the shuffle. Bianca needs a bit of a ruffle of her feathers a little bit, and a bit of a change of character. Maybe if they go down this heel route, egotistical, we're the most stylish, we're the best, we're the most athletic. They've got their whole CrossFit numbers that they, when not the CrossFit, but the what's the thing that they used to do in NXT when they compete against each other?
Oh, the performance center. What do they call it? I've forgotten. But the trials. Yeah, that they do.
Yeah, that same thing there. They've got all of that. They're both the best at in their categories and all the rest of it, and all of that. So, and we see week in, week out, the commentators say every single time either of them are in the ring, just how great they are, how athletic they are, and all the rest of it. For me, that would be the absolute ideal. And as you said, I'm very much the same as you with the whole power couple thing. Give me Miz and Maurice every single week. I'm happy.
What I was just gonna say? I was just gonna say, as weird as this is gonna sound, Miz and Maurice is probably their template. Apart from the fact that Bianca and Montez can wrestle, so their angle won't be all the showbiz stuff. Although that will probably just come because they're excellent. But their angle is the athleticism, the ability to wrestle, win championships, and all of that kind of stuff. Very Miz and Maurice in terms of the presentation, how they look, how they'll put themselves together and come out and dazzle the crowd with their looks and stuff like that. But their angle isn't, show business and and TV networks. It's championships and winning and this and the other. So
competing. Right. It's very much more so the sport than it is the entertainment, even though we're doing sports entertainment. But I think, that pairing of Montez Ford and Bianca Belair is basically the Miz times 10, Miz and Maurice times 10, because that's literally what it would be naturally. But yeah, man, seeing other power couples, I was hoping for, John Morrison and Ty Valkyrie to eventually do that type of thing. We had we missed out on Killer Cross and Bordeaux. There were so many different things, but to see that would be perfect, I think. And I've always wanted to see it. I'm glad that they've kind of done their own things. Obviously, Montez is Street Profits and Bianca doing as much as she does, because it then makes any type of them coming together even more special, because they've got the accolades that they've had on their own. So that would be the only way it would work. Speaking of couples, possible splits. We saw a very interesting thing on AEW. I think it was on Dynamite, was it? The Battle Royal?
The Battle Royal, yeah.
Battle Royal to determine the challenger to Jon Moxley, to then decide who was going to face, New Japan's participant in this, to determine the interim, I hate the interim thing, but the interim AEW champion. Just call him AEW champion and just give CM Punk first dibs when he comes back. Anyway, so in this all-action Battle Royal, Keith Lee was eliminated by his tag team partner and friend, Swerve Strickland. Now, when I first saw it, I didn't think, oh my God, there's going to be a split. And I didn't think none of that at all. Even though Keith Lee looked upset, Swerve looked a little bit, cocky with it.
Cocky.
I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, that's just how they are, and he's, naturally upset. It's only a few days later when on Twitter, Swerve Strickland has tweeted dead weight. Did you not see that?
So someone told me that he's tweeted something, but I didn't know what he tweeted. I didn't see it. No.
So it was a picture from behind Keith Lee, looking up at Swerve smiling, and then the caption said, "Dead weight, all the dots." So I'm like, "Oh, we're getting a split here." What was then confusing though, is a few days later, or about 2 or 3 days ago, the weekend, they've started promoting their new shirt.
Bloody t-shirt company, bro.
So I don't know what the hell is going on with this whole thing. But first question, is it too early for this to be happening with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland? If it is a split.
I mean, no, because they obviously had the tag team championship match the other day, right. Double or Nothing, and they didn't win. What else are they going to be doing? It doesn't look like they're continuing the feud with Team Taz, which took them to the tag team championship picture anyway. So yeah, what else are they going to be doing? The only thing is, again, time on the shows and stuff like that. How are you going to feature these particular guys? Like, I can't lie, a part of my heart broke when that segment happened, when he got pushed out and Keith Lee looked vexed. And, we see that kind of dynamic with tag teams in these kind of matches. And usually the one that gets pushed out with a little smile, like, okay, you got me sort of thing. Yeah, but this wasn't that. Like, Swerve, like you said, was very kind of cocky, only for him to be thrown out seconds later. Right. But yeah, following the tweet and all of that, like, if they're going to split them, cool. Like, I don't think any of us would have said, oh, if AEW said we're signing Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, no one would have said, put them together as a tag team anyway.
Very few.
So,
one or two did, because they knew that they kind of did at one point, but it was very few.
I mean, no one would have wanted it as a first choice for either, man. Nah. So, I think if you're going to let them have a feud now and play it out on TV and all that kind of stuff, then cool, I guess, but it's a weird one, just because we know, again, if we're looking at divisions, where those guys sit on the card, there's just so many, man.
Way too many, man.
There's so many guys. Like, they've even launched this new belt. Neither of them are included in it. Neither of Hobbs or Starks are included in it. So it's like,
don't get me started, bro.
It's still like, so you've managed. Like, 4 men that were just on pay-per-view can't even get a match for this new belt. And that's not their problem, that Hobbs and Starks and Swerve and Lee. And it's not the guys in the tournament's problem. It's just there is so many men of that same caliber all fighting for how many positions. Like, so, yeah, it's a minefield right now. But if they're going to split Swerve and Lee and let them have a little feud, then cool, as long as it's on good TV.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, as you said, it wasn't what we expected them to do in terms of them being a team. I don't think I definitely didn't want it when it first happened. I was kind of like, right, we're just putting 2 black people together. And that's what it felt like. They made it work in the best way possible that they could have. They took the baton and ran with it. Definitely made the most of the situation for sure. But at the same time, I've never really been invested and thought, right, I need to see these 2 as tag team champions, even after they did as they've done the great things that they've done, and in terms of match performances and stuff. Yeah. Is it too early for this? I don't think it is at all. Let it happen. But the fear is what then happens with either one of them. I think for me, if I was looking at these 2 and trying to work out who would probably have a better run, as a solo for coming away from this, straight away I'm saying Swerve.
Yeah.
I think that without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think that is how it necessarily... No, I definitely would have thought that before they both joined NXT. Keith Lee should be right up there. But at the same time, given the way AEW is, given the way that they kind of, obviously predetermined. It's wrestling, but kind of very far ahead, predetermined who their champions are going to be and all that kind of stuff. How you fitting Keith Lee in that, or who you kind of pushing down the ladder to fit Keith Lee towards the top? It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Given their performances since and what they've been doing since, it has to be Swerve that gets pushed over Lee as it stands at the moment. And it is a little bit saddening that Strickland isn't part of this All-American, what is it? All Atlantic. All Atlantic. I was going to say All-American. All Atlantic Championship. Given the talent that's in it, or the type of talent, bar Miro, it's very much kind of cruiserweight-ish type stars. But at the same time, you look at the 8 men that are featured, with the 2 New Japan guys that are kind of just thrown in because it's Forbidden Door and blah blah blah. But there's no one I would actually take out to put Swerve in.
Yeah, well, I'll take out Ethan Page.
Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah, I'd take out Ethan Page in a heartbeat. Definitely Ethan Page actually. But then even still, it's still. I guess it still makes sense to what you're saying about there being too many people in the positions that we want Keith Lee and we want Swerve to be in, not knowing how they're gonna make it work and all the rest of it. Should we expect AEW to push either one of them? I don't know.
If there's one of the two, like you said, it's Swerve. It's got to be Swerve.
Yeah.
And if it further pushes our agenda along, that AEW don't do nothing with big men,
right?
Like Keith Lee being the big man. Now, obviously, we see Wardlow in the middle of having come off just a great story.
Yeah.
And even if we're honest with ourselves, this stuff he's been pushed into with Mark Sterling and all of that kind of stuff.
The last 2 weeks have just
it's a bit of a nonsense. It's a bit of a nonsense.
Straight up.
This week he's gonna fight 20 security guards, which will probably be fun. But then
he should be doing that.
Yeah, he's done that without a match stipulation.
Right.
So we'll see how this is a bit different. But he said he's going for the TNT title. Which okay, cool. Then eventually if he gets there, he will beat Scorpio for the TNT championship.
I'm sure.
And then being Wardlow, he will probably hold it for a very long time, possibly only drop it in like a multi-man match because he doesn't have to be pinned.
Right.
So it is very crowded, like we're saying, in these positions. Swerve, even with this other belt, the All Atlantic belt, I guess his heritage, his background would be USA. There's actually no one from the USA in this tournament. Everyone is booked from a different country. So when they're saying All Atlantic, is that the division of this belt? Is that what makes it different? Just not for people from the USA?
Not for anyone from the USA.
Which I don't know. I'm just making an assumption. But Swerve would be the one to be pushed. Where does Keith Lee end up? Probably back on Rampage. Swerve might end up on Rampage. Who bloody knows?
Yeah.
So it's just I don't even know what to say. There's just too many men.
It's happening the way it is, and it is just too many guys, and they're not knowing. Again, I'll go back to my whole solution. The easiest solution ever is just to change the remit and the structure of dark shows. To make them, more for their signed talent and a lot less, 90% less of the random talent. Indie wrestling is back. These guys don't need that in the same way they needed it when the pandemic was in full flow. But it is now really starting to show how crowded AEW is. We see week in, week out now. We brought in this new championship, but what is it going to really prove, or what is it going to achieve? Who is it going to help really? No one. As much as I've said countless times, if they run it like the X Division Championship, it would help make sense of it. but at the same time, you could get rid of it, and it's not like you would feel the need for it to be there. There's no need for it to be there whatsoever.
And this is why I was arguing that like the trios title is what should have been debuted, because even with these guys, like the likes of Pac, that's in Death Triangle, the likes of Malachi Black, that's in House of Black, these are mid-card guys, but if they brought in a trios division, that gives them something to do now, away in the trios division. Right. Whereas now that's cleared up the mid-card a bit. So the likes of Swerve and Keith Lee, even Ethan Page could get an opportunity within the mid-card. Because right now they've presented Pac, Penta, Malachi Black to us. These are trios guys waiting for a division to come to life.
Exactly.
But now we're gonna move them across from trios to the mid-card. Exactly. It's just messy. Like you could have occupied them. You know, one belt could have occupied 6 man at one time.
Yeah. Exactly.
The champion lot and the challengers. Whereas now we've got one new belt and there's still hella man in this division. Right.
It's crazy because it's clear that they had the plan for it or something to working towards it. Something's gone wrong. Kenny Omega getting injured. And now they don't know what to do with all of these guys, because even with Christian Cage with Jurassic Express, you know, the 2 teams that you mentioned, House of Black, Death Triangle, even with the 2 Gun Brothers and Max Caster, there's so many. Dark Order had like 3 different teams you could have chose from just their group alone, all that kind of stuff. And now you kind of just got this sea of people just not knowing what to do with them and all the rest of it. But yet you bring this new championship that's not going to help anyone. Exactly. It's not really going to help anyone. It's not going to make any difference. It's going to be nice to see whoever has the championship. If Pac has something, finally put a singles belt on Pac, or whoever ends up having it, to be honest. But why? What about Swerve and Keith Lee and whoever else, Mojo and blah blah blah? Yeah, there's nothing for no one. But going back towards Swerve and Lee, it's again, we're in this place where we kind of just have to wait and see what happens the next time they're both on TV. Are they going to be on TV together? Are we going to see a start of a feud? And then the fear of one of them is going to be, or more than likely both of them eventually will be kind of like disregarded, I think. Yeah. I don't see either of them kind of coming out of it in a better position than what they are now. Sure. But yeah, keep them together. I don't know where they're going to go either.
Exactly.
It's just a mess. It's just a mess right now. It is what it is. Let's move ourselves. We haven't been here for a very, very long time. But Slammiversary is on the way. This weekend is Slammiversary. Impact Wrestling, by the way, if you guys don't know what that is, because we just haven't talked about it for so long. Slammiversary is like, is it their biggest show or the second biggest?
It's the biggest. Oh, it's their WrestleMania.
It's their biggest show of the year. And a massive match. I think this is an absolutely crazily massive match. For Tasha Steelz, who is the current Knockouts champion. Tasha Steelz is facing Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, the returning Mia Yim, and I forgot.
And Deonna
Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, Mia Yim, and
Jordan Grace.
Jordan Grace. I should have known that. Jordan Grace. All 4 are also former Knockouts champions. That's how they kind of qualified for the match. And it's the first ever Queen of the Mountain match. Very different type of match. I think I've only ever watched one King of the Mountain match before. I was like, what's so special about Queen of the Mountain? And then I had to kind of look back. I was like, oh, this is what happens in that match. So it's going to be very different. The premise is kind of like, there's 5 of them. They're all in the match, but until someone gets pinned or submits, the belt isn't up for grabs until one person gets pinned or submitted. That person who gets pinned or submitted goes into a cage for 2 minutes. It can happen to someone else, and 2 or 3 people can end up in this cage. And then everyone's fighting for this title that's above the ring.
Suspended.
It's as confusing as my explanation just was. Trust me.
It sounds like some like reverse War Games ladder match. Like
it's like a War Games ladder match, elimination chamber, all rolled into one, and I don't get it. But it's a big thing for them. And obviously, as I said, it's the first ever one for the knockouts for the women. It's a major match for Tasha Steelz, who is the current champion. Became champion, I think it was in February, if not, I think it was February she became champion. Does she come out of this match the victor over the returning Mia, the great Deonna Purrazzo, the former champion in Chelsea Green, and the well-decorated Jordan Grace in terms of in Impact Wrestling as well? I think she's won literally everything apart from the actual world title, which women are still eligible for. Does Tasha Steelz come out of this the winner?
No, for me. Like,
okay.
And I have two reasons why. When it comes to multi-man or multi-women matches and a champion is involved, that is the easiest time to take the belt off them because they do not have to be pinned. They do not have to be the one that has to physically look weak to lose their championship. So for that reason, and I know they've been doing great work with Tasha Steelz. I dip in here and there to see what's going on, and she has been a constant over the last few months as a strong, dominant women's champion. But even again, with a plethora of names, like these aren't just any ibby women on that division. And to be honest, on that division, there isn't any, because there's a lot of talented women
very good
in the Impact women's division. But this is literally when I saw the graphic of this, I think a week ago or so. This looks like the Armageddon Hell in a Cell that WWE had with Rock, Austin, like Undertaker, like all of these men,
Triple H, and then Rikishi.
But even then, Rikishi was a top guy. He was one of course. He was in and around. So this is what it looked like to me. So, like you said, you really reeled off the accolades of these women apart from Tasha Steelz. I'm gonna go with Mia Yim. I think Mia Yim is the person that's gonna win. Impact as well. I've noticed over the last year or two, I've been kind of paying them more attention. They seem to have a thing about once a returning star is back, we throw the belt on them. Straight. That can help to kind of raise the profile of the company, the division, the belt, whatever the case is. So, unfortunately for Tasha Steelz, I'm not backing her on this. I think Mia Yim is going to pick up the title.
Interesting. And you know what? To be fair, in terms of who, I mean, obviously, Mia Yim comes in and she's going to go straight for that knockout championship. But with 4 other women involved in this match, more interaction has happened between Tasha Steelz and Mia Yim, between those two more than anyone else over the last month or so. So that could be quite telling as to what the result of the match is going to be. I don't think it's writings on the wall for Tasha Steelz in terms of her losing it. She's beaten Havoc, another former champion. She's beaten Rosemary, another former champion. She beat Mickie James to win the championship as well. One of the greatest, if not top 3 knockouts in Impact history. To win the title, and as you said, has held it well. The matches that she's had, brilliant, held her own. And as much as she's the smallest person in this whole combination, I think there's still a chance that she could go away leaving as the winner. She's won the Knockouts Tag Team Championships twice. First one to do it when they brought it back with Kiera Hogan at the time. She won the first ever Ladies Ultimate X match. Do they give her this as a first time as well? We've seen it with Bianca Belair with a few things, not necessarily first time stuff, but Bianca Belair has won everything up to the rise of her becoming a champion, all that kind of stuff. Are we seeing a very similar thing with Tasha Steelz in Impact? Now, the other question I ask is, if she was to retain, what does that mean for Tasha Steelz What does that mean for Tasha Steelz?
It means a lot. It means a lot because like you're saying, like I'm saying that for me, this is the top of their division. All these women involved here. So if she manages to walk out with her championship, then they got to basically start building somebody beyond these women that can really trouble her. It's funny. We would all kind of want to say we want to see Tasha Steelz on a bigger platform. What's next for her? Well, really and truly, if she does retain this, not much left for her in Impact.
Very true.
But we can see right now how Kiera Hogan's being positioned, and to be fair, it's improved in the last few weeks, obviously with the baddies and stuff. But before that, Kiera Hogan, a very decorated talent over in AEW, being used as a jobber, basically. If Tasha Steelz is to kind of move on to pastures new, AEW for sure ain't the place to go to as a woman. WWE,
she's too small for that.
Argument there. Well, you say too small?
She's too small for that. I mean, I know we've got
small in terms of what, name or physical size?
I think almost both, because WWE don't care about. Come on. We've seen the likes of EC3 go back to WWE after becoming one of the biggest stars in wrestling at the time as well. We've seen it. WWE don't really care about the accolades of, especially if you're coming from Impact. They don't care. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anywhere for her to go. I think there will still be space for her. If she loses, if she wins, there's still space for her to stay in Impact for a while. We've now got, as we said, even just the 4 ladies that are in the match with her. Taya Valkyrie's returned. And there's a few others that probably still need to be built up. We've got Savannah Evans, who's by her side at the moment, but who knows? We can do this whole, fallout angle, and them two have something. There's still more than enough things for her to do, regardless of what the outcome is with this match. It would be a massive, massive push for her if she was to come away as the winner, whether that be a straight up pin or Savannah Evans gets involved in some way and helps her win. It would just be a massive, massive thing. A show of the trust and belief that they have in Tasha Steelz if she was to win. But if she was to lose, I don't think it would hurt her profile too much either. I still think there would still be a lot for her to do. Again, more than enough women to mix it up with. Mia Yim's back, Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green's kind of getting into the way. Jordan Grace is Jordan Grace. There's still a lot to do. I'm just very intrigued to see how this match goes and how. I think it's more so how much they believe. How much do they actually believe in Tasha Steelz as their Knockouts champion? And I think that's where it is for me.
I think they back her. I think they do believe in her. I just can't help but feel there's almost, whether she wins or loses, to be honest, there might just be an element of spinning her wheels. Like I've clocked this game here, so what is next for me? WWE will, if that is an option, will go and change everything about her. She won't even be Tasha Steelz anymore.
Nope.
And then we don't know how she'll be used.
She'll be Cardi T.
And then AEW, she'll be relegated to dark and dark elevation and all of these things. So it's she just has to be the best version of what she can do. Obviously, she starts that with retaining in this match, and then, like you said, maybe even if it's Savannah Evans and she finds a way to chop that tree down. Like we just do what she's doing to the best of her ability in Impact.
I think that's where it's at, and again, another kind of situation where it's just a wait and see. But this one for me is a very intriguing one, regardless of whether she wins, whether she loses. It's just going to be interesting. I think there's still a lot for her to do, and that in itself is great. It's not like she's going to lose and then I doubt she'd disappear necessarily. But we'll see. The last thing I want to mention, and I know we haven't got a lot of time, and I purposely did this because I don't even want to talk about it too long, because I'm just like, what was that last segment on Raw? Why was that the last segment?
a whole main event segment where your champion, and my issue with it, firstly, you had Rollins and Styles put on a great match. It should have been the main event. But right now, Austin Theory is your highest regarded champion on the show. Yeah. Because Roman Reigns is missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got him squeezing baby oil in a man's eye to end the segment, to end the show, to send people home. Like, come on, bro.
Could have easily just had a match, whether it be a quick one, Austin Theory does some shenanigans, but give us something to further the story. No.
You know what? Put this nonsense in the middle of the show,
right?
And then put Styles and thing in the main event. Done. Like, it's just
weird.
You can't end the show like that.
This is definitely a Vince idea, and it definitely shows how heavily invested Vince is in Theory right now.
Yeah.
But I do think we said this kind of last week and discussed this last week. But I do honestly think we're going to get Theory versus Lashley. Lashley beats Theory, then we'll get Theory and John Cena at SummerSlam.
Let's go.
I honestly think that's what it's going to be.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. On that sad note, we ended. Oh gosh, we just used the same thing as our main event. No. On that note, folks, we better go. You are watching and you are listening to WrstlXtra. I am A Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate. Find me on Twitter, Black Wrestling A, and on Instagram, Black Wrestling Alliance, where you can find all the stuff that you need to find out about Black Wrestling. You can follow this guy, Mex, the WrestleManiac, at WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram and WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. Also, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and click that notification bell on YouTube, WrestleManiac UK, and also the Mandem, that is Rest Things as well on YouTube. Folks, this has been our time. We are out of here.
See you later, guys.